she raised a lion, and when they met again, his response was unbelievable. Before we start, please subscribe to the channel. Your subscription means everything to us, and it's the only way for the stories of these beautiful animals, who often suffer in silence, to reach more people. It helps us keep our work going. Please subscribe now. We know that God will reward you twice for helping these animals have their voices heard. A woman stumbles upon a tiny lion cub, abandoned and weak. She takes him in, not knowing the incredible journey ahead. Years pass, and they're reunited. What happens next will leave you breathless. The African savanna stretched endlessly under the scorching sun, a vast expanse of golden grass swaying in the hot, dry wind. Dust devils danced across the parched earth, carrying whispers of drought and desperation. In the midst of this unforgiving landscape, a young woman named Sarah trudged along, her water supplies dangerously low. The relentless heat beat down upon her, each step a battle against exhaustion. Sarah was no stranger to the harsh realities of the wild. As a dedicated wildlife researcher, she had spent years studying the intricate ecosystems of the savanna, but nothing in her extensive training could have prepared her for the extraordinary encounter that was about to unfold. A faint cry pierced the air, barely audible above the rustling grass. Sarah froze, her senses instantly alert. There it was again, a weak, plaintive sound that tugged at her heart. Cautiously, she moved towards the source, her eyes scanning the terrain for any sign of danger. As she pushed aside a clump of dry vegetation, her breath caught in her throat. There, curled up in a pitiful ball, lay a tiny lion cub. Its once golden fur was caked with dust and grime, its small body trembling with each labored breath. Sarah's mind raced, 1,000 questions flooding her thoughts. Where was its mother, the pride? She scanned the horizon, but saw no sign of other lions. The vastness of the savanna suddenly felt oppressive, as if it were conspiring to keep this fragile life isolated and alone. The cub let out another plaintive mew, its eyes barely opening to look at her. In that moment, as their gazes met, Sarah felt a connection that defied explanation. Those eyes, though clouded with weakness, held a spark of life that refused to be extinguished. Without hesitation, Sarah knew she couldn't leave this helpless creature behind. Gently, she scooped up the cub, cradling it against her chest. Its tiny heart fluttered rapidly, a testament to its will to survive. "It's okay, little one," Sarah whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I've got you now." The journey back to the research station was arduous. Every step Sarah took was measured, careful not to jostle her precious cargo. The cub's warmth against her body served as a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the unexpected ways in which destinies can intertwine. Days turned into weeks as Sarah nursed the cub back to health. She named him Simba, after the Swahili word for lion, a name that carried with it the weight of his heritage and the hope for his future. The research station became their shared sanctuary, Simba's playful antics bringing laughter and light to the team's otherwise serious work. Sarah watched in awe as Simba grew stronger with each passing day. His once dull coat began to shine with health, his eyes bright with curiosity and mischief. She marveled at his resilience, at the way he attacked each challenge with unwavering determination. Whether it was learning to lap milk from a bowl or taking his first wobbly steps across the compound, Simba approached life with a zest that was infectious. But Sarah knew, deep in her heart, that this idyllic time couldn't last forever. Simba was growing rapidly, his once tiny paws now the size of her hand. His playful nips, once harmless, were becoming stronger. The wild spirit of his ancestors stirred within him, calling him to a life beyond the confines of the research station. The day finally came when Simba had to be released back into the wild. It was a decision that tore at Sarah's heart, a bittersweet culmination of their time together. As she stood at the edge of the savannah, Simba by her side, she felt as if she were sending a piece of her soul out into the unknown. Simba seemed to sense the gravity of the moment. He hesitated at the threshold between his familiar world and the vast unknown that stretched before him. Sarah knelt beside him, running her fingers through his mane one last time. "You were born for this," she whispered, her voice thick with unshed tears. "Go and be the lion you were meant to be." With a final nuzzle against her leg, a gesture that spoke volumes of their bond, Simba bounded off into the tall grass. Sarah watched as his golden form grew smaller and smaller, eventually disappearing into the shimmering heat haze of the horizon. Only then did she allow herself to collapse to her knees, tears streaming down her face. The emptiness that followed Simba's departure was palpable. Sarah threw herself into her work with renewed vigor, but thoughts of the lion cub she had raised never strayed far from her mind. On quiet nights, when the savannah was bathed in starlight, she would find herself wondering about Simba. Had he found a pride? Was he thriving in the wild? The not knowing was both a torment and a comfort. In her imagination, Simba could be living his best life, free and strong. 5 years passed, each one adding layers to Sarah's experience and wisdom. She had seen countless wonders in her time on the savannah. Herds of elephants moving like gray ghosts in the dawn light, cheetahs sprinting across the plains with breathtaking speed. The delicate dance of survival played out daily before her eyes, yet nothing could have prepared her for what was about to unfold. It was a sweltering afternoon, the kind of heat that seemed to warp the very air. Sarah was out on a routine observation, her jeep bouncing over the uneven terrain. The familiar sights and sounds of the savannah surrounded her. The call of a distant bird, the rustle of grass in the hot breeze. It was a day like any other, until suddenly it wasn't. With a sputtering cough, the jeep's engine died. Sarah coasted to a stop, a sinking feeling in her stomach. She was miles from the research station, in a part of the reserve known for its large predator population. As she popped the hood and began to work on the engine, the hairs on the back of her neck stood up. And primal instinct, honed by years in the wild, told her she was being watched. Slowly, Sarah turned around, her heart pounding in her chest. Her breath caught in her throat as she saw what stood before her, not 20 feet away, watching her with an intensity that seemed to pierce her very soul, stood a magnificent male lion. His mane gleamed in the sunlight, a rich golden brown that spoke of strength and vitality. Muscles rippled beneath his tawny coat as he stood perfectly still, his gaze never leaving Sarah's face. Time seemed to stand still in that moment. Sarah knew she should be terrified. Every instinct, every bit of training she had undergone, screamed at her to seek safety, yet something held her rooted to the spot. There was something hauntingly familiar about those eyes. Simba? The name left her lips in a whisper, barely audible even to her own ears. It was impossible, she told herself. The odds of encountering the same lion after all these years, in this vast wilderness, were astronomical. And yet, the lion's ears perked forward at the sound of her voice. He took a step closer, then another. Sarah remained perfectly still, her mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Hope warred with fear. Logic battled against intuition. What happened next defied everything she thought she knew about wild animals, about the very laws of nature itself. The lion broke into a run, closing the distance between them in a matter of seconds. Sarah's muscles tensed, preparing for the worst. But instead of teeth and claws, instead of the violent end she had momentarily envisioned, she felt the warm press of a massive head against her body. A deep, rumbling purr filled the air, a sound that vibrated through her very bones. Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she buried her hands in the lion's mane. Against all odds, against every scientific principle she had ever learned, he remembered her. This apex predator, this wild and magnificent creature, recognized the woman who had saved him as a cub. The bond they had formed, forged in those early days of vulnerability and care, had somehow endured across the years and miles. For nearly an hour, the lion, for in her heart, Sarah knew without a doubt that this was indeed Simba, stayed by her side. He rolled in the grass, playful as a kitten, seemingly overjoyed at their unexpected reunion. Sarah marveled at the dichotomy before her, a powerful predator, capable of taking down prey many times his size, now batting at tufts of grass with the same enthusiasm he had shown as a cub. When Sarah finally managed to get the Jeep running again, Simba walked alongside it for miles, as if escorting her to safety. It was a scene that defied belief. A woman driving slowly across the savannah, a full-grown lion loping easily beside her. Sarah couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all, her heart light with a joy she hadn't felt in years. As the research station came into view, Simba slowed his pace. Sarah's heart ached, knowing that this was goodbye once again. She climbed out of the Jeep, kneeling before the majestic creature who had once fit in the palm of her hand. The contrast between then and now was stark, a vivid reminder of the passage of time and the incredible journey they had both undertaken. "Thank you," she whispered, pressing her forehead to his. Simba let out a soft chuff, his warm breath ruffling her hair. In his eyes, Sarah saw a wisdom that went beyond mere animal instinct. It was as if, in that moment, they shared an understanding that transcended the barriers between their species. Then, with a final look that seemed to hold all the mysteries of the savannah, Simba turned and loped off into the gathering dusk. Sarah watched until his form disappeared, her cheeks wet with tears of joy and sorrow. This encounter defied explanation, flying in the face of everything she had been taught about wild animals. Yet she knew, with a certainty that ran bone deep, that what she had experienced was real. It was a moment that would stay with her for the rest of her life, a testament to the profound connections that can form between humans and animals. If this incredible tale of loyalty and reunion touched your heart, make sure to subscribe for more extraordinary animal stories that will leave you amazed. In the days and weeks that followed, Sarah found herself profoundly changed by her encounter with Simba. The experience had shaken her to her core, forcing her to reevaluate everything she thought she knew about animal behavior and the nature of consciousness itself. She threw herself into her research with renewed passion, determined to uncover the depths of animal intelligence and emotion that her experience with Simba had hinted at. Sarah's story spread like wildfire, captivating hearts and minds around the world. It resonated with people on a fundamental level, speaking to a deep-seated desire for connection and understanding across the boundaries that separate us from the natural world. Letters and emails poured in from every corner of the globe, each one sharing a personal story of an extraordinary bond with an animal. There was the tale of an elephant in Thailand who had saved his mahout from drowning, defying his own instinct for self-preservation to rescue his human friend. A dolphin in Australia who had guided a group of stranded swimmers to safety, its intelligence and empathy shining through in every calculated move. A rescue dog in America who had detected its owner's cancer long before medical tests had revealed it, its unwavering attention ultimately saving a life. These stories, and countless others like them, painted a picture of a world where the lines between human and animal were far more blurred than many had ever imagined. They spoke of a shared capacity for love, loyalty, and understanding that transcended species barriers. In Simba's story, people saw a reflection of their own experiences, a validation of the deep bonds they had formed with the animals in their lives. For Sarah, this outpouring of support and shared experience was both overwhelming and inspiring. She found herself invited to speak at conferences and universities around the world, sharing her story and advocating for a deeper, more nuanced understanding of animal cognition and emotion. Her talks were passionate, filled with the raw emotion of her encounter with Simba, and tempered by the scientific rigor of her subsequent research. We have only scratched the surface of understanding the emotional lives of animals, she would tell rapt audiences. Every day, we are discovering new depths to their intelligence, their capacity for empathy, their ability to form lasting bonds. It's time we approached our relationship with the animal kingdom, not from a position of dominance, but one of partnership and mutual respect. Sarah's words struck a chord with people from all walks of life. Conservation efforts saw a surge of support as people began to view animals not as resources to be managed, but as sentient beings deserving of protection and respect. Zoos and wildlife parks around the world began to reevaluate their practices, placing a greater emphasis on enrichment and natural behaviors. The ripple effects of Simba's story reached far beyond the realm of wildlife conservation. People began to look at their own pets with new eyes, wondering about the depths of emotion and understanding that might lie behind those familiar gazes. Animal-assisted therapy programs flourished. Local guides would tell wide-eyed tourists about the lion who remembered kindness, who defied the laws of nature to reunite with his human friend. Some claim to have seen him, a magnificent figure watching from distant hills, a guardian spirit of the savannah. Sarah continued her work on the reserve, her days filled with research, conservation efforts, and the occasional glimpse of a tawny figure moving through the tall grass. She never saw Simba up close again after that day by the broken-down jeep, but she didn't need to. The memory of their reunion, the tangible proof of the bond they shared, was enough. On quiet evenings, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in breathtaking hues of orange and pink, Sarah would often find herself standing at the edge of the research compound, gazing out over the savannah. In those moments, she felt a profound connection, not just to Simba, but to the entire tapestry of life that surrounded her. The rustling grass, the distant call of animals, the very air she breathed, all of it felt interconnected, part of a greater whole that she was only beginning to understand. We are not separate from nature, she would remind herself in these moments of reflection. We are a part of it, intimately connected to every living thing on this planet. It's time we started acting like it. As the years passed, Sarah's work continued to inspire and educate. She never lost the sense of wonder that had drawn her to wildlife research in the first place, nor the deep respect for the animals she studied. Every new discovery, every small breakthrough in understanding felt like a step towards a future where humans and animals could coexist in true harmony. And somewhere out on the savannah, a lion roamed free, one who carried with him the memory of kindness, the unbreakable spirit of love, and a legacy that would continue to touch hearts and change minds for generations to come. In Simba's story, the world had found a powerful reminder of the extraordinary connections that can form between species and the profound impact that compassion and understanding can have on all living beings. As we reflect on this incredible tale of loyalty, reunion, and the enduring power of compassion, let it serve as a call to action. Each of us has the power to make a difference in the lives of the animals around us, whether they're our beloved pets or the wild creatures that share our world. Let Simba's story inspire you to approach all living beings with empathy and respect, to recognize the intricate web of life that connects us all. Remember, every small act of kindness, every moment of understanding, has the potential to create ripples that extend far beyond our immediate sphere, whether it's supporting conservation efforts, adopting a rescue animal, or simply taking the time to appreciate the natural world around us. We all have a role to play in fostering a more compassionate and interconnected world. In the end, Simba's story is more than just a heartwarming tale of an unlikely reunion. It's a powerful reminder of the deep wells of emotion, intelligence, and loyalty that exist in the animal kingdom. It challenges us to expand our understanding of consciousness and connection, to recognize the rich inner lives of the creatures we share this planet with. As we move forward, let us carry with us the lessons of Simba and Sarah. Let us approach the world with open hearts and minds, ready to forge connections that transcend the boundaries of species. For in doing so, we not only enrich our own lives, but we take a step towards a future where all living beings are treated with the dignity and respect they deserve. In every purr of a contented cat, every wagging tail of a joyful dog, every graceful movement of a wild animal in its natural habitat, we can see echoes of Simba's spirit. It's a spirit that speaks to the very essence of what it means to be alive, to feel, to connect. As we go about our daily lives, let us strive to honor that spirit, to nurture the bonds that tie us to the natural world, and to always remember the profound impact that a single act of compassion can have. So the next time you find yourself face to face with an animal, whether it's a pet, a wild creature, or something in between, take a moment to really look into their eyes. You might just see a spark of understanding, a glimmer of connection that reminds you of Simba and Sarah's incredible story. And in that moment, you'll know that you're part of something greater, a vast, interconnected web of life that stretches across species and spans the globe. Let Simba's legacy live on through your actions. Be kind to animals. Support conservation efforts. Educate others about the importance of respecting and protecting wildlife. And above all, never underestimate the power of compassion to bridge even the widest of gaps. For in the end, it's not just about saving animals. It's about saving ourselves by recognizing and nurturing our connection to the natural world. We open ourselves up to a deeper, richer understanding of what it truly means to be alive on this extraordinary planet we call home. So go forth with an open heart and a curious mind. You never know when you might encounter your own Simba, a creature that will change your life and remind you of the incredible bonds that can form between humans and animals. And remember, every day is an opportunity to make a difference, to show kindness, and to create your own extraordinary tale of connection and compassion. The story of Simba and Sarah may have ended, but the impact of their reunion continues to ripple outward, touching hearts and changing minds around the world. It's a powerful reminder that in the grand tapestry of life, we are all connected, human and animal alike. So let us honor that connection, nurture it, and allow it to guide us towards a future where all living beings are treated with the respect and dignity they deserve. As you go about your day, keep your eyes and heart open. You never know when you might encounter a moment of connection that will change your life forever. And if you do, remember Simba's story and know that you are part of something truly magical, the enduring bond between humans and animals that has the power to transform our world. If this incredible journey has touched your heart and opened your eyes to the extraordinary connections possible between humans and animals, don't keep it to yourself. Share this story with others and help spread the message of compassion and understanding. Together, we can create a world where stories like Simba's are not the exception, but the rule. In the end, it all comes down to love, the kind of love that transcends species, that defies logic, and that has the power to change the world. So go out there and love fiercely, care deeply, and never stop believing in the incredible bonds that can form between all living beings. For in doing so, you honor not just Simba's memory, but the wild and wonderful spirit that lives within us all. And who knows, maybe one day, years from now, you'll find yourself standing on the edge of your own savanna, face to face with a creature that remembers your kindness. In that moment, you'll understand exactly what Sarah felt: the awe, the joy, and the profound sense of connection that comes from being part of something greater than yourself. So here's to Simba, to Sarah, and to all the extraordinary animals out there waiting to touch our lives. May their story continue to inspire us, to challenge us, and to remind us of the incredible power of compassion, connection, and love